One special guest we have on the show actually works with the show. Dan Ribacoff is our lie detector administrator, and he comes out to explain whenever guests have questions about the results of their lie detector test. I sat down with Dan. Take a look. This is Dan Ribacoff. You are our polygraph examiner.
Yes, Steve, thank you very much.
And how about giving us some of your credentials, Dan?
Sure, Steve. I've been a licensed private investigator for just under 20 years now. I'm also a certified polygraph examiner, and I'm an admitted expert in the roster for the experts for the City of New York in criminal court, as well as New York State Supreme Court. I've also tested for Child Protective Services, matters involving the federal government as well, so I'm pretty well-rounded when it comes to polygraph exams.
And to just perfectly state it, you're an expert in this field.
Yes, sir.
Now, can you go through the steps that you take to test our guests?
Sure. The same test that I administer on a murder, whether it's in court or for a private attorney, is the same test that I administer to your guests. The standard is the same. Your guests will come in, I'll acquaint them with the lie detector or the polygraph instrument. I'll explain to them how it works. I'll show them why it works by showing them a map of the human brain and how the reactions happen when a person tells the truth versus telling a lie. I'll then discuss the issues with them. I'll review the questions with them to make sure that they understand the questions and that the questions are suitable to them. If something is vague, we'll change the question to make sure that they understand it. That improves the accuracy of the polygraph. Then I'll test them multiple times.
And how many times do you test our guests?
On the average, 2 to 3 tests, sometimes up to 5 tests.
Up to 5 times?
Right.
And why would you test that many times, up to 5 times?
What we want to do is we want to give them the fairest test possible. We want to make sure that the readings that we're getting are consistent, whether it's a reaction or the lack of a reaction on a certain question. We want to make sure that we're getting that every time.
Now, people ask me all the time, is this test 100% reliable?
Nothing in life is 100%. The polygraph today is computerized. It's been around for over 100 years. We've had 100 years of technological advances, of experimentation, and we've now gotten it down where it's 98% accurate. That's based on the American Polygraph Association's studies. There was over 20 studies with 6,000 tests.
So 98%, that's a pretty high degree of reliability.
It's better than most medical tests.
People ask all the time, do drugs affect the test? Taking drugs, trying to beat the test?
Oh, well, there's medicine that you'll take that's prescribed. We always do a medical history when we speak to an examinee to see what conditions they have and what medications they're taking that might affect the polygraph. So as an examiner, I know what effects those have when I read the charts or when I take charts from somebody. If somebody's taking drugs as a countermeasure, that usually becomes very evident because their physiological reactions usually will be dulled if somebody takes sedatives. So that's almost an instant clue.
And sometimes during a show, a guest will say, oh, I was tired, I was hungry.
Right. There's many factors, and I always ask them, are you adequately rested? Do you have any pain? These are all standard questions so that we know changes in their physiology are due to the fact that they're less responsive because they're tired.
And how do you measure if someone's telling the truth?
It's actually on the polygraph, we'll see a reaction to someone lying versus someone telling the truth. There's a big difference in the graph when somebody lies because they accelerate their body functions. And it's sudden and it's instant. It's almost like hitting a relay. So it's a very sharp reaction. And we can tell the difference because when I test you, I'm going to ask you questions. Is your name Steve? Yes. That's a known truth. So I know that you're utilizing your memory when you're answering that. Did you commit this murder? No. If you're lying to me, you have a different reaction than when I ask you if your name is Steve.
So you would say you're pretty confident in the test that we give our guests with the outcomes that we get, whether it's they're lying or telling the truth. You feel confident that we are getting the truth.
Absolutely.